Aloha boys and girls, and welcome. My name's Rochelle and I'll be your tour guide for today. I'm a budding geologist and I want to take you on a quick geological tour of discovery through the Hawaiian Islands. Together we'll be discovering how the Hawaiian Islands were formed. We'll be looking at island paradises, fierce volcanoes, and we'll even go below the Earth's crust to have a look at some hot mantle plumes. So let's begin our adventure as we start in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. The Hawaiian Island Chain is formed by 8 main islands, several atolls and numerous underwater sea mountains. The main type of rock we'll find on Hawaii is igneous rock or volcanic rock, and this is rock that's been formed in the cooling of magma or lava, which means that the islands must be formed through a volcanic process. And certainly we can see on the Big Island or the Hawaiian Island that it's been formed by 5 separate volcanoes. Chelle-ray is actually the most active volcano in the world, and it's adding new land or new rock to the island every day, even as we speak. The type of volcanoes that we'll find on the Hawaiian Islands is shield volcanoes, and that is because they have low profiles and gentle slopes, named after a warrior shield turned on its side. These shield volcanoes are formed from very hot and very fluid lava, which is spilling out in broad sheets, cooling, and then adding on each layer until you get the distinctive shape of a warrior shield turned on its side. And we can see very recent volcanic activity on, say, the Big Island. However, a key difference between the islands is that the further away you move from the Big Island, the more luscious and green the scenery gets, because there's been more time on these islands in the north between volcanic activity. Another key difference between the islands is that the islands in the northwest are a lot smaller than the islands in the southeast, and this is because they've been more exposed to the weather over time through the process called erosion. So this indicates that the islands might be a lot older in the northwest than the southeast, and scientists have confirmed by checking internal clocks of the rocks that the islands get progressively older the further away you move from the Big Island. And this is the key feature which has led to the theory of how the Hawaiian Islands have been formed, which is that there's a stationary hotspot underneath the Earth's crust, and a tectonic plate, or the land mass that cover the surface of the Earth, must be moving slowly over the top of this stationary hotspot. And this hotspot is responsible for pushing up all the volcanoes and the sea mountains and the islands. And it's said to be caused by a mantle plume, which is a very long tail with a big bulge of very hot and intense material underneath the Earth's crust. And we can picture this process happening using a lava lamp which has a long tail and a big bulge similar to a mantle plume. If we picture this as our hotspot, we can say that the tectonic plate is moving slowly over the top, and we can visualize the mountains being created and the volcanoes being created as it moves over the top of the stationary hotspot. So that's our theory on how the Hawaiian Islands were formed, and that brings us to the end of our journey today. I hope you've enjoyed our tour, and I hope you've learned a bit about the dynamic geological processes at work to shape some beautiful features on the Earth, such as the Hawaiian Islands. I hope to see you next time, and aloha, which means hello and goodbye in Hawaii. Aloha!